Nothing drives me more crazy than this like starving artist myth, which I
Oh,
will say is a myth. And help creatives take that skill, talent, or passion that they have and really build a sustainable and profitable business that supports them the way they deserve to be supported in the world. Because there are people that I know that come in and they're like, can we just cut right to the marketing? Can we just cut right to the finance piece? I don't want to talk about finances. I hate it, but like, can you make my money work? There we
hi,
go.
Erin. I'm so excited to see you today. We
I
have
know.
been in the same network for years, and we always talk about how business, and we talk about how we didn't have a business course when we went to the Rhode Island School of Design for design school so long ago.
Oh.
And when I saw that your business building for creatives course launched, I was so excited for you. So I wanted to bring you on so we can discuss the course, what people can expect in the course. And I know this has been a labor of love for you, and I would love to hear about kind of those motivating factors to get you to this point to finally launch this course. So thank you for being here, and let's hear a little bit more of like how this came to be.
Oh, thank you so much, Nicole. I'm thrilled to be talking to you about this today. Yes, this course has been a labor of love, is exactly the phrase I keep using for it. I first kind of came up with the concept of this course and identified the need for it about 4 years ago. So it's been a long road. I've been actively building the course. I hired a course agency to help me because at this point I was, I know when I need to outsource. I know when I need to bring in the pros, and I was at capacity. So the only way to make it happen was to bring in support. And I had amazing instructional designers and graphic designers and um, the copywriters, the whole shebang, which was fantastic. And I've been working with them for um, a little over 2 years. So it's really been a long road, but it really came from the idea of this course came from the fact that as you mentioned, I went to art school. I went to RISD, and I loved my time there. And I came out of RISD and immediately I studied graphic design. And right out of RISD, went to Manhattan, started working at a design firm as a graphic designer, and loved it. But it opened my eyes to all of the things outside of the design things that I learned that I didn't know. At this firm in New York that I was working at, I ended up working my way. I ended up falling in love with the strategy and the business side of the creative world. And I ended up shifting from a designer to a project manager. And then I rose up through the ranks and ultimately ended up becoming their director of operations and dually holding the title of director of client services. So I oversaw their entire accounts team, their admin team, the creative director, the strategy lead, strategy director, I believe we called him. And I worked, and we also had in-house web, so also the director of web. So I really learned at that point how to run a creative business and all the different unique challenges that we come across in the creative industry. And with it, we were working with photographers, we were working with illustrators that we were hiring on, we had 3D animators. And so I kind of ended up with my hands in a lot of different creative businesses and working with creatives and really seeing the unique challenges we have, but also the lack of business resources. Like, I learned everything crash course, real world, figure it out as you go. Like, that, what do they say? Like, building the plane as you're flying it type of thing.
Yes.
And I ended up in a position where I was in that role for 7 years. And I was in the New York City art and design scene, which I loved. And I had this amazing network of people from RISD. So I knew some amazingly super talented creatives across all the different industries. And I started to realize I was getting a lot of phone calls. Like, I was getting a lot of, hey, can I pick your brain? Can we grab coffee? I have this thing I want to chat with you about. And a lot of the creatives that I knew who were so talented were going out and starting their businesses. They wanted to hang their shingle. They wanted to make an impact, follow their passion, share their skill, their talent with the world. And they were running into what I ended up seeing a pattern of a lot of the same challenges. And the challenges that had nothing to do with lack of talent, like they were phenomenal, like world-class talents. It had to do with the problems that they were running into in their business structure. No one ever taught them how to run a business. It was to do with how do I position, like what do I offer and how do I package it right and how do I position it right and what do I price it at? And then once I'm getting clients, how do I actually do the thing and still do the work I love and not drop the ball and actually make sure I'm getting paid and all of the things. And um, I started to see this as a pattern, and I started to see, honestly, quite a few really, really talented people struggle and fail. And seeing that this was the pattern, in my heart of hearts, creatives are like, I live for creatives. I think the world is a better place when creatives can share their skills and talent, and anything I can do to help more creatives get their creative spirit and sparkle and magic out into the world, like that is what I'm here for. And so I started coaching creatives and teaching them how to do this and working them through it. And over the years, I really found that there are patterns, there are tools. I always say, like, I developed what I call a toolbox of exercises and resources and things to really help bridge those gaps. And I got to the point, truthfully, I got to the point where I couldn't serve as many people as I wanted to. I was booked out coaching wise. I also work as like an outsourced COO, so I would come in and actually help clients run their businesses, but there's only one of me to go around. So I was very quickly at capacity for that. And I couldn't take on anymore, but I knew so many more people needed help and I was getting requests. So at that point, I was like, it's time for me to just package this framework that I've developed working with all of these creatives over so many years now, because that was back, I started formally coaching. I took on my first coaching client in 2014. So almost 10 years ago, the fall of 2014. So almost 10 years ago. So this has been like a decade of building, and it thrills me to finally have it like packaged up in a nice way that can be self-led. People can work through it at their own pace, and then I can offer it at a much more accessible price than one-on-one work. And my hope is that it will help kind of fill that gap, and where there is lack of resources that are really aimed at creatives and the unique challenges we face and how our businesses come to be and how we think and function, and help creatives take that skill, talent, or passion that they have and really build a sustainable and profitable business that supports them the way they deserve to be supported in the world. So that was my very long-winded answer. But it has been a long road. So
yes, that was amazing, because that's like, you hit on a key thing. There's tons and tons of business resources out there, but creatives, I'm included, I'm a photographer, we need to be taught differently, I feel like. Even though I did go to traditional undergrad, I did go to graduate school, I then went to RISD later. And ironically enough, when I then, after RISD, went to photography school, I love to learn. It was Boston University, and I chose their program because they had a business class as part of their curriculum. Now, this is way back I started in 2008. So, I mean, Facebook wasn't even like fully up. Like marketing and business back then, what I was being taught, not really what we need today. So I feel like creatives, even just looking at different things to help my business, I'm like, well, where's the information for creatives? I need the creative mind to tell me, because someone in a totally different industry, if they're more of a non-creative, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to, like, you're not speaking to me. So that's why I was so excited when the business building for creatives finally launched, because I'm like, yes, finally we have a resource that creatives can go to, and someone is speaking their language. They have tried and true, tested all these different frameworks and workbooks. I was looking through, you have 5 interactive workbooks in this, and like you have the video components, but then some people love to write it down. And then you have some people that, need the already created planners or trackers, and you already have those things designed that they can just plug in for their business, and they don't have to recreate the wheel. They don't have to figure out, well, what system works for me. Because from when I started to now, I mean, there's so many client management systems. There's so many different email systems. There's different ways that you can do packaging. So to have a single resource to just get the framework and the foundation solid, I mean, I'm so happy that you have gone through this journey, because you're going to help so many people.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I wanted to touch
Oh.
on now, I love that you have it designed for whether someone is dreaming about starting a creative business, all the way to the full arc of an established creative business owner. So that's amazing, because I think a lot of times people don't know where to start, especially in the beginning. They don't know what to do first.
Yeah.
So this is a great entry point. And then when someone's established, there's so many things that change, or they need to up level, they need to automate, that it's nice to see that end of the spectrum, and the person starting can kind of see where they're going to go. So I love that that's designed that way.
Yeah, I did that super specifically too, because I think everybody's at a different point in their creative journey. Like, we all had the moment where we started dabbling with something, or the first person came to us and said, "Hey, can I buy this from you?" Some people are far enough along that they're juggling retainer clients they've had for years, or they have, returning clients if they're more on the product side of things. And what I found through coaching and working with people at various levels, because I've coached people that have come to me and they're like, "I have an idea, where do I start?" as you kind of mentioned. And actually, one of my coaching clients has been in the design world. She's a designer, and she's been in the design world for over 20 years, and she's run a profitable business for 20 years. But she just has always kind of felt like she never really got it. She never fully got it grounded. That she was always kind of, I always use the phrase duct taping things behind the scenes. Like, she was like, "I have stuff and it works, but I'm stressed out and overwhelmed and constantly what ball am I going to drop next? Or what do I do to not drop another one?" And what I found was that through all of those phases, no matter where you're at, it all comes down to having a strong foundation for your creative business. And that's the common denominator. If you have a strong foundation, it can support whatever you're building on top of it. As you build, as you scale, as you change. You mentioned platforms changing and advertising needing to change, and technology changing how we do things. And all of that is true, and it's going to only get faster. Change is just faster and faster and faster these days. But really, truly, the foundation of a business, and honestly, this is true outside of creative businesses, but I've found that this is what the biggest missing link for creative businesses is, taking the time to identify and really set the foundation of your business, and understanding what that needs to look like, and then throughout, as you grow, coming back and checking in on that foundation, because it's not a one and done and set and forget. If you're going to add on to your home, you're going to be checking in on that foundation. You might need to add to it, you know what I mean? Or you might identify a crack or something that's come out and that you need to shore up and repair. And so that's really what I focus on in this course, is so that anybody at any point in their creative journey can use the exercises and the tools and the resources that I share here to either set the foundation for the first time, or go back and look at their business holistically. And I always say it's a going back and forth between a telescope and a microscope view. You need to have the big picture. You need to understand where you're at big picture, but you also need to get in and check those details on specific pieces, especially. And that's what makes the foundation work so important. So everything from understanding what is this business I'm trying to build? Like, did I plan this on purpose or did it just kind of happen to me? Because honestly, business just kind of happens a lot of times. Like we have one thing that works and it kind of like snowballs, or we kind of just start taking on anything we can because we're just so excited to give this thing a try or whatever it is. And it really, like, my goal in this course is to get you to pause, take note of what's working, what's not, kind of look at everything holistically, and then go through piece by piece and really check and set the foundation of your business so that it's supportive of the business that you want to build, but also of you as a creative, because we also, like, as creatives, we need some headspace where we can just be creative, and like we don't need to always be juggling all of the things, but we need to make sure they're running and they're running well and they're supporting us. So I really tried to take an approach where it helps you set the foundation regardless of where you're at. It helps you shore it up, but it also supports you as a creative, the lifestyle that you want and deserve. Nothing drives me more crazy than this like starving artist myth, which I
Oh,
will say is a myth. And I
drives me
see it.
crazy.
It's so prevalent and it doesn't need to be true. Like it
No.
truly doesn't need to, like, it does not need to be true. And part of the issue is that, again, these resources were missing for creatives for so long. And so my hope is that, no matter where you're at in your creative business journey, you can work through these exercises again and again. Truly, truly,
Yeah.
I take clients through, like, I have clients that I've had for many years now, which is wonderful and I love them. And it's so fantastic to watch them grow and change. But I will say, like, well, okay, time to go back and do this exercise again. Like that we did it a year ago, or we did it 6 months ago, or whatever it might be, depending on it. And the outcome might be different, which means we need to adjust and fine tune and change. And that to make everything supportive of where we're at now. So I really tried to make this supportive of the full journey. And like I said, I've run through with everybody from somebody just coming up with an idea to somebody in business for over 20 years and everything in between. And the beauty of the exercises and the tools here is that they meet you where you're at and they help expose what needs attention and how to move forward with it.
Yeah. And it's okay not to know, because
Oh,
this
yeah.
resource is here, in that you can't know everything. You have your craft and
Mhm.
you're working on your craft. You want to make sure the business, and I know some creatives, like, they just don't want to use that. I don't know if it's part of that brain, or the left and the right brain talk, but it's like now we have something to guide us. And it's 5 modules long, right?
Yes.
And is there an estimated block of time? Like, do you do module 1 and then once you have everything there, then you move on to 2, or how does it flow?
Yeah. So I've set it up so that my hope is that people will go through it sequentially the first time.
Okay.
Because I do think that I've set it up in that way because it does, some of the things do build on each other. I have had people be like, okay, well, I already have these things going. I want to jump right to making sure my pricing is right. And it's like, okay, well, that's great. But how do you know you're offering the right things?
Yeah.
Let's just go through and do a checkup, because a lot of times people end up doing it and they're like, oh yeah, well, and I hate this one thing, but I do it because it makes me money. And I'm like, but does it? And are you pricing it? Like, I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, I hate that I offer this, but like, it's what everybody wants. Like, well, maybe we should think about that before we just want to talk about your pricing. But
Yeah.
yeah, my hope is I set it up so that it does build on each other. With that said, specifically modules um, 3 and 4 are all about systems and rhythms. And so rhythms in your business are really what make your systems work, is how I kind of define it. The systems are how you're doing things. The rhythms are at what pace you're doing things and how they all sort of fit together. Because what I've found in the missing pieces when people say systems, and creatives are kind of two minds with this, which I find really funny. Like half the time designers are like, I have my systems, and more of like the fine artist side are like, I hate systems. Don't talk to me about systems. It's not always that way, but I do
Yeah.
find that that tends to be the trend, which cracks me up every time. But the reality is, a system is just something that's there to support you. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be boring. It just has to be something that you've thought through intentionally to support you. And the rhythms piece is making sure that those systems are actually in place working together. So, I talk about like you used marketing earlier, so we'll use marketing as an example. We have a marketing system. How are you going to market your products? Okay, that's great. What I tend to find is if you don't have a rhythm accompanying that, which is how that marketing system is running, what triggers you to start your system, or how often are you doing the things, um, then we end up with a lot of feast and famine cycle, which happens in a lot of businesses, right? Like people will be like, I don't have enough work, or I don't have enough clients, and then go, 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 go. And they have the system and they're constantly like on Instagram or reaching out to people or whatever it might be, whatever, going to makers markets or whatever their marketing, their core marketing is. And then they get busy and they forget to do the things.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they don't have any clients again or any projects again, or their products are sitting there on the shelf. And then they start again. And I keep like, when you can get in rhythm, you can keep everything running and it works with momentum and it builds a lot faster than the stop and start and all the energy that it takes to restart something that has stopped. So the modules 3 and 4 talk about all of the different systems and rhythms you need. So once you get past like the first 2 modules and really make sure that you have like your vision and your pricing and all of those pieces fit, 3 and 4 people can kind of shuffle around a little bit more based on what they feel like they need right now. Because there are people that I know that come in and they're like, can we just cut right to the marketing? Can we just cut right to the finance piece? I don't want to talk about finances. I hate it, but like, can you make my money work? That type of thing. So really it is meant that you can kind of work through it based on what you need the most. But I always say, like, at least give a listen to the first modules.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they will, at the very least, they'll put the right questions in the back of your head to make sure that you've at least considered the things that when you get to marketing, you're truly addressing marketing issues and not offer issues or pricing issues or profitability issues because you didn't price it right or something like that. So that's my suggestion, is always, if you can start at the beginning, at least give it a listen. But then 3 and 4, focus your attention where you feel you need it most, but it's all there for you and it's all there to support you as you kind of grow.
That's amazing. It's great that it builds on each other, and then they can always come back and revisit if they're like, oh wait, I remember that being said, let me go investigate that more. When you have like the space, like you may get really busy but realize you need to come back to like a different area when you're ready, like, oh yeah, to automate inquiries, that'd be nice, or to have something set on my website so then it's a little bit more automated. That would save up time. And so I love that, how you have that designed. You mentioned, or I mentioned too, you have some customizable tools in the program. Can you touch on some of the favorites that people have loved in the past, like trackers or planners, all the different things that you have already made for people that they will love?
Yeah, absolutely. So saying a minute ago that work through the first 2 modules. So the first module is all about vision setting. It's all about understanding the business that you want to build, not the business that like you left and are now building for your own. Because like, I can't, as coming from the design world, I can't tell you how many graphic designers hate being at an agency because of X, Y, and Z, and then they're going to run their own agency. They're going to do it different, and they build an agency by accident that's exactly like the agency they left. Like, it's just it's human nature. We build what we know, right?
Yeah.
So and that's only one example. There are so many, but that's the one that rises to mind. So the first module is all about figuring out your specific vision and what works for you. My personal favorite, there is a definition of success exercise in there, and that has been single-handedly the most impactful tool that I think I use with any of my clients. One of my clients, actually, she's an illustrator and a fine artist. I've been working with her for 3 years now, and she has been in business for, I started working with her right at her 10-year mark. So she's been 12, 13 years, very successful, big name collaborations down to doing passion projects. And I was talking to her the other day, and we were talking about kind of our journey together over the past 3 years. And she said, like, that to her has been the thing that has shifted everything for her in her business, built her confidence, realigned it, and made it a business that she's really happy to show up to every single day. Because before it kind of, she was definitely teetering on burnout and what am I doing here? And is this right? When we started working together. So the definition of success exercise, it's actually a very simple exercise, but it is something that leads you through kind of figuring out truly how you personally define success for yourself. Not what you've been told is successful by the industry or your parents or your teachers or your peers, but like you personally, because it's a very very personal thing and it changes throughout your life. For example, my definition of success changed greatly when I had kids, when I became a mom. That shifts your life. Um, and there's so many other things that can shift that over the years, just growing and maturing and being in different circumstances. So the first module is all about vision setting, and that one is truly my favorite there. But actually, the first two modules, and the reason I said, start with the first two, is that at the end of module two, so the first module is all around vision setting. The second is all around building a plan around that specific vision. So you're building the business that you want to build and you have a plan for that business. So at the end of module two, there's a tool, which sounds like no fun, truly, but it's a business plan. And it really just takes all of the results all of the things you've already worked through and puts them together so that you can see a holistic view of the plan of the business you're going to build. And then from 3 to 4, it's all about how are we running that business, right? Modules 3 and 4, I should specify. So, the business plan one is always funny because everybody's always like, and I actually taught, I wrote a business plan course for RISD, but I get it. This is not an MBA business plan by any means. This is a business plan for creatives. It's just let's put everything in one place, make sure all the pieces fit and line up. And now we can wrap our head around it and now we can execute and build upon it. Right. So
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
yes. Yeah. I always laugh. Because I'm always like, it's not an MBA business plan. My husband has an MBA and he's like, can you not be and I was like, no shame to the MBA. That's just not where I play. That's not my thing.
Well, and it also becomes overwhelming because it's you don't need a 500-page document. That's why
a one-page front and back, just the things you need to make sure the pieces are there so that you haven't missed anything and you're thinking about it right. Yeah.
That's why I'm so excited about this because you're a creative walking creatives through this, which is why I think it's so important that people will really get so much value from it. So I know the business plan is some daunting, dear God, please no. But thank you for putting it
so simple
with a creative lens. Thank you.
It's funny because it comes, like I said, at the very end of the second module, and you work through all these lessons, and then literally it's you did this and this lesson in the module, and you just plug it in, and people are like, oh my gosh, I wrote a business plan and I didn't even know I wrote a business plan. I'm like, beauty of it. But that and honestly the pricing calculators people find really helpful because I can't tell you how often when you crunch the number, people either don't know where to start, what do I price this at, or they find out too late that they're not actually making the money they need to make something sustainable. They find out that it sounds like a good price, but when you look at what it takes to actually run the business and what you're bringing home, and what you need to bring home, it doesn't always add up in the way that people think it's going to. And I can't tell you how many times I'll talk to somebody. I was talking to a web designer not too long ago, and actually I share a version of this story in the course, but I was talking to her and she had been in business for a couple of years, but she always kind of struggled. It had supported her and her family, but she always kind of struggled. And as I was talking to her, I said, okay, well, walk me through what are you doing? What do you offer? And she was saying, to simplify numbers, she was saying, I build websites. It takes about a month. I charge about $1,000 each. And I was like, okay, well, how many can you take on at a time? And she was about, 2. And at the end of the day, when we looked at the numbers, she wanted to make $100,000 in revenue, 6 figures. And when we looked at what her capacity was and how she was pricing things, and then also what she needed, she could book out 100% of her time, and there was a huge gap. It was even if she did all of the work and was working all the time, she would make $72,000. And I was like, that gap, you physically can't make 100 at this point. And it's just, again, that's something that just kind of happens a lot of times when businesses are grown organically and you aren't able to step back and make sure all the pieces fit. And so things like this, they don't sound that fun or that sexy or that wonderful, but they are the key. They are the foundation to really make sure that what you're building is supportive of you and your dreams and what you want it to be and what you need um, as a person. And, again, like anything I can do to help debunk that starving artist myth or really get, be supportive of the creative community and making sure that we get paid for the work that we deserve to get paid for.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So there are all kinds of tools. There are everything from a scorecard to see how you're doing with your marketing efforts to, as I mentioned, pricing calculators to like when you do get into, and this is going to sound no fun to anybody either, but like to when you are building a system, like a system builder, an SOP builder that helps you to make sure that you're figuring out and thinking about the right things and documenting them so that you only have to figure it out once. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And then there's the more fun stuff, the dreaming up the dream business and what does your vision look like and kind of spending some time with that and what can you offer and who are you going to offer it to and how are you going to market it and all of that fun stuff. So I've tried to really, I've developed a lot of tools over the years. Some I've gotten from others that I've worked with, and they've given me the permission to share. Others I've developed over the years. So I packaged them all up in a way that hopefully, serves people and allows them to really step in and, like I said, shore up that foundation and work through the issues that have been plaguing them, not just, the things again that they are being told that they should kind of look at or focus on.
I love it. I just want to run down some of the features.
Yeah.
So there's 5 self-paced modules. There's 7 easy to implement templates, which thank God. 30 plus bite-sized video lessons, another thank God, because sometimes we only have capacity to do a little bite size and you're just moving forward. Just take one in and then go create or go talk to that client or go have fun with your family. There's 5 interactive workbooks. There's 16 customizable tools, which we've touched on, like the calculator.
Mm-hmm.
And wrapping that all up, thank you for being passionate and loving the business side of being a creative, because having a creative lens on this business topic, it's not easy to find. So thank you for, all your blood, sweat, and tears for like thinking about it a decade ago, then really fine tuning it 4 years ago, and then really putting like a lot of your time and attention the past 2 years to get this out in the world. So it's business building for creatives. I'm going to add a link below so you guys can dive deeper, see all the information about it. Erin, I'm so excited. Thank you from me and from all the other creatives for creating this, because I think this is going to help so many people just get the questions answered that maybe that has been plaguing them. Like, am I really doing this right? And they love the creative stuff, but they're not sure everything else is set. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here and talking about the course. I'm obviously a fan, and finally I have a resource to provide people to that are stuck in this spot where they're not sure about the business component.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nicole. I'm so thrilled to have this out into the world. I'm so excited to serve more creatives. Like I said, to me, the biggest win is when, as creatives, we can share our magic, our passions, our talents with the world. So I'm thrilled to play even a small part in helping others do that. And thank you so much for chatting about it with me. I've known you for a couple of years now, and jumping in and having all of the business and all of the creative conversations with me that you've had. I so appreciate it, and I appreciate you. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to have another conversation with you down the road about all the successful stories that you hear from the outcome of this course. And yeah, check out the link below, and we all can give a silent applause to Erin when we're moving and building our businesses. All right. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.